Hello everybody and welcome to this week's edition of the Nolte Lightning Talk. My name is Adam Fenton, I'm Nolte's CTO and co-founder, and today we're going to talk about building a Gutenberg enabled theme for non-designers to use. So just a quick definition for those who are not familiar with Gutenberg or perhaps not even familiar with WordPress. So Gutenberg is the new editor for WordPress, or new-ish. It provides a lot more power than the old editing experience, and it allows you to build custom page layouts in a similar way to, say, Squarespace or Wix. And just for those who don't know, the theme is the piece of code in WordPress that dictates how the site is styled. So, what's the problem? With all this flexibility, our admins can do pretty much what they want, and that is great, but also dangerous. We want our websites, or at least the sites we build, to look great and to provide a really great experience for the end user who will be using that site. So, what happens if our admin users are not designers? How would they know how much space there should be between certain elements or what colors go well together? We really don't want our admins to have to make these decisions. No, they're decisions that we, or as the builders and designers of the site, want to make. But once we hand over the keys to our clients and they go in there and edit the site using the admin, there's a risk they can make a mess, and we don't want that. It's bad for them, bad for their brand, and it reflects badly on us as well. So here's a solution that we've been working on. Right now it's more of a proof of concept, which we've been trying out on one site, and we'll be learning and iterating as we go, particularly as our clients start to edit content on the site, we'll start to get more feedback. But the basic principles are that we want to reduce options, and we want to make decisions for the admin. So let's step through a few of the things that we did. So one of them is to remove invalid options. So we don't want the admin to be able to do things that are not in our design system. We want to control the colors, the fonts, the sizes, etc. So we use this code that WordPress provides us in the new block editor handbook, where you can see more information on it. But we can say we only want you to use these colors. We don't want the custom color palette selector to exist at all. And the same with sizes. Again, we don't want the user to enter any size they want. We want a select set of sizes they can use for their paragraph text. And in many cases, there may only be one option. We may not provide any option at all here. In some cases, we may have a big and a small version, but we definitely don't want them adding, things that are 5 pixels font size or 50 pixel font size into the body text. The next is also another reducer of options, is to control which blocks can go in which places. So to start with, we may not want to use blocks for everything. Take a hero, for example. A hero should always go at the top of a page, and in many cases you want it to be there by default. You don't want to allow the option for the admin to not add a hero or not add some sort of heading to the page. At the end of the day, we want the front-end experience to be consistent for our users. We don't want a hodgepodge of different templates and different styles, some with a hero, some with just a title, some with nothing at all. We want to limit the options down to maybe 1 or 2, which makes sense based on the design system that we built. The other thing we can do is to limit which blocks are available on which pages. So an example I put here is, say, our blog post template is often a narrower template, and we may not want to allow them to add certain blocks there, which really are only meant for pages. And we use ACF to control our or to add custom blocks. And using ACF, you can, when you register the block, you can specify what post types you want it to appear on. So this example here, we have a logo grid. It's only meant to be used on the page. This next one is more of a quick fix we came up with to solve a problem with the column control in WordPress. So the core column block will only allow the editor to enter a percentage column width, which provides a lot of flexibility. They can have a column that's 2% of the width, they can have a column that's 99%. But our design is based on a 12 column grid, and if we allow this level of flexibility, we will end up with misalignments. The admin may not know exactly what to select. They may not, divide 100 by 12 to figure out the right option there. They probably won't even need to do that. So what we're doing with this solution is basically snapping to the 12 column grid. So if they enter something which is close to a particular option but not exactly it, we will snap to it. You can see this code snippet here of how we do that. We're actually using Tailwind, and we basically calculate what Tailwind class to inject based on the width they've entered in percentages. So we round it to the closest option. This we recognise as a quick fix, and there'd probably be a more elegant solution that we could come up with in the future, or maybe someone else would, that would allow you to select the number of columns you want to span a particular block, or maybe fixed percentages that limit the options. But for now, this is what we have. Another problem we solved, and this is a pretty tough one actually, is around vertical spacing. So when you add blocks in a blog post, it's generally relatively simple because a blog post is text and maybe some media, not normally anything else there. So we would have like our standard spacing options for text, where there's a certain amount of space between paragraphs, a certain amount of space above or below a heading, and a certain amount of space above or below a media block, like an image or a video. But when it comes to pages, it's a little bit more complex because there's some additional things we need to take into account. There's different types of blocks. They are often grouped into sections. Some sections may have background colors, and there's a certain amount of padding that needs to be there when you have a background on your section. So we worked with Ben, our designer, the engineering team, and Ben worked together basically to come up with a solution for this, where we kind of figured out that he actually had a set of rules in his head of how he was designing things, and we just needed to document that and turn it into code. And so you can see on the right here some examples of rules that we documented. And we did this by assigning blocks to different types. So we have a block that's a section type block or a media block, and each one has a certain set of rules. And in some cases, the individual blocks will have their own rules, like a paragraph, for example, or the headings H1 to H6 generally have their own separate rules. The one note here from a technical point of view, we did everything using top margin because we want to take advantage of the plus operator in CSS. That allows us to, say, set the top margin to a certain value based on the preceding element. In CSS, you can't do that the other way around, so that's why we decided to use top margin in all cases here. One final example here is animation. So on the one thing that's important to the visuals of the site is that it's more interactive, and we devised rules around the animation. So pretty simple rules, but based on whether a block or a layout has 1, 2, or 3 columns. You can see on the right how those rules work, and they're implemented in such a way that, again, the admin doesn't need to make a decision here based on what blocks they choose, and the combination of blocks, because you can use the core column block, for example, And if you have the core column block with 3 columns, it will automatically pick up the rule for 3 columns that you see here. And this way we have a nice interactive site that's fully flexible, and there's no need for the admin to know anything about animations or animation principles. So I hope that gave you some food for thought. Like I say, this is a proof of concept for us. So it's something we'll be working on. We have been working on and we'll continue working on developing, and we hope to build up some more interest in the community. So please, check out what we have in the Lean theme, and feel free to get in touch with me via my email or Twitter, and I'd be more than happy to discuss. So thank you very much for joining us today, and I hope you have a good